Hey there and welcome back to Sims Sunday. My name is Pete and in this series we try to complete The Sims 3. And the last episode was a rather emotional one. We completed the Heartbreaker lifetime wish with Patrick, and today we have another lifetime wish and potentially also another career waiting for us, but all of that in due time. For the moment we can watch as Pauline continues to paint, and then in the middle of the night we will wake up Paul. And that has a very specific reason, as Paul will have another shift today. Now that shift is of course still a few hours away, but it is the last one before the weekend. And I don't really want to have to wait until Monday to finally get him promoted, but if we look at his work performance factors, that will likely be the case if we don't prepare. And so Paul will now work from home to hopefully give himself enough of a boost to get promoted today. Roughly 1.5 hours later, Pauline finishes her painting, but with nothing else to do, we can quickly sell that one and then have her start another one. Meanwhile, Patrick is also up on his feet and grabbing lobster for breakfast. I think after spending the last 2 days breaking the hearts of 10 women in Sunset Valley, he has earned that. Afterwards, he can go outside to take care of his garden, and while he does, a wish gets fulfilled. That was the one to grow a live plant. Now, Paul has worked pretty much until exhaustion, or at least until he got stressed out, so now we will have to counter that and bring his fun bar back up, and the Sim Life goggles are always the best choice for that. Meanwhile, his wife Chastity starts her day with a shower, and then teleports off for another round of guitar in the park. And I feel like Chastity is slowly filling the role of Ayesha in that regard, as in she leaves early in the morning, then makes a lot of money during the day, but we don't really get to see her, and then she returns in the evening and goes straight to bed. But that's the life of a Sim sometimes, and for the moment I think it suits Chastity well. Now Pauline has just finished another painting, so once again we can sell that, and then yep, start another one. And with a maxed out fun bar, Paul will now quickly take a shower before work, not because he desperately needs one, but simply because of the positive moodlet it gets him. That will hopefully help keeping his mood up high, and hopefully also be enough to secure us that final promotion in the business career. Back at home, Patrick is wrapping up his tour through the garden, a garden that will, by the way, see some changes in this episode. But we'll get to that later. For now, Patrick can head back inside for a shower, while Pauline not only finishes her third painting of this episode, but she also improves her painting skill to level 5. She now has the ability to paint still lifes, but much more important for us are the portraits, which will be unlocked at level 7. So she still has a bit of practice to do. That will have to wait, however, as Pauline will now get some rest first, while Patrick is done with his shower and can now quickly grab the mail. And as usual, let's go straight to the family inventory to sell what we just received. Afterwards, it is then time for something we haven't done at all in this series, and that is selling our harvests. Apart from what our money trees produce, we have never actually sold anything, and so it's safe to expect a big cash out here today. And a fun fact on the side, the amount of items in Patrick's inventory was actually so large that my game froze for about a minute here, but in the end Patrick leaves the supermarket with a profit of 45,000 simoleons. So eventually the whole gardening thing definitely paid off. Up next, let's complete another lifetime wish. You might remember that from a while ago we still have 21 perfect fish in Paul's inventory. Now for the presenting the perfect private aquarium lifetime wish, we need to put those fish in fishbowls. Technically, we would only need to do this with 13 of them, but in true completionist fashion, we will of course do this for all of them. However, while putting the fish in their new homes, I noticed that we were lacking one fishbowl, so we quickly had to do some minor changes. The door here wasn't really needed anyway, and now it can make room for the last fish. And with that, we have the lifetime wish completed, only 6 more to go until we have all of them. Now, we could have actually completed that lifetime wish a long time ago, but there was a reason I decided against it. because once we have the fish in fish bowls, we need to feed them regularly. And with 21 fish bowls, that will take some time. And so I wanted to wait for Patrick to complete his careers and also the Heartbreaker lifetime wish, because now he has a lot of spare time to take care of his new pets. Now I had hoped that following the completion of this lifetime wish, we would now also be able to celebrate the completion of the business career. Sadly though, despite all of our efforts, Paul finishes his workday just shy of a promotion. Admittedly, it was a close affair, but now we unfortunately have to wait 3 more days until his next shift. That is, of course, not the greatest problem in the world, still it is mildly annoying. I think we will attempt to get him a promotion by talking to his boss later, but for now Paul has a much more important thing to take care of, and that is to finally get some rest. Meanwhile, Patrick has fed all the fish, and we can now work on a double set of wishes for him. From his days in the science career, Patrick still has an almost maxed out handiness skill. He does have 2 wishes, however, that would get fulfilled if he actually maxed that skill out, and since Patrick has already taken care of both the garden and the fish today, he can now spend some time with the handiness skill book. Let's jump over to Chastity and let's also have a quick look at the clock. Not even half an hour is left until Chastity's shift at the bookstore starts. However, today she will only show up just to leave again. Because after reaching the 3rd and final level of that career in the last episode, I really see no reason for Chastity to spend her days working anymore, so instead let's have her quit that job. Alright, and with that taken care of, Chastity can now focus exclusively on playing guitar. However, before she continues, let's quickly help out her social bar. Back at home, Pauline is well rested again and now also well fed, and that means it's now time for her to take a shower. In the park, meanwhile, Chastity has started playing again, and Paul is also already back on his feet. We definitely do not want him to sleep through the rest of the day and completely mess up his sleep schedule. Instead, let's actually try that whole talking the boss into a promotion thing now. We have actually tried and succeeded with that approach numerous times in this playthrough. However, I also know that it is sometimes a bit tricky to actually get the option to show up. Speaking of showing up, Paul's boss will do so in a while, and now a squeaky clean Pauline can spend the rest of the evening until she has to leave for work with painting. And just a few moments later, Paul can greet his boss Crystal outside. The 2 of them are already best friends, so hopefully this won't take too long. Alright, the option did not show up so far, and inviting Crystal inside did not change anything about that, so after about 2 hours of unsuccessful talks, we will have to part ways again. Still, I'm not giving up just yet, we will try again tomorrow. For the rest of today, however, Paul will write, and Pauline can finally teleport off to work. All the work performance requirements are bright green, her fun bar is filled, and she's on time, so I think we can expect another promotion here. Then at 10 PM it's time for everyone else to head to bed. Paul will stop writing. In the top right corner we can see that Chastity made about 200 simoleons in tips, and Patrick has also put away the handiness skill book for now. He was unable to improve his skill level today. So Paul and Patrick are now both already in bed, and a good 15 minutes later Chastity has also made it home, and all 3 of them can now get some rest. And that only leaves us to skip ahead to the end of the workday for Pauline. At 3 AM, Pauline leaves the criminal warehouse, and as expected, she gets a promotion, and a crucial one at that. The promotion to career level 7 allows us to choose between the thief and the evil branch, and since Master Thief is her designated lifetime wish, and also because of a rather poor relationship with her boss, which should be a lot higher for the evil branch, we will stick with Thief. On top of the promotion, we also get a wish fulfilled, so everything is looking fine for Pauline. And to celebrate the occasion, Pauline will now relieve the neighborhood of some more or less valuable items. My object of choice here was of course the grill. Pauline once again had other plans though, so with one kleptomaniac attempt wasted, we now have a new garden table. Congratulations. With the second attempt we can then grab the grill, and with attempt number 3, one of the more valuable cars that I found parked around town. Thanks to Pauline, those are becoming increasingly rare however. And back at home, the rest of the family is already busy again. With 2 days off on the weekend, Paul has already started writing again. Chastity meanwhile is eating breakfast, and Patrick has picked up the handiness skill book again. Hopefully he's able to reach level 10 today. And Pauline has also returned, ready to start painting again. Since Patrick is busy with the skill book and it is still very early in the day, fish feeding duties will today be taken over by Chastity. The alternative would be playing for tips at 5 AM in the morning, and I don't think that would result in much. Pauline then finishes another painting, and you know the drill by now. Let's sell and start from scratch. A good 2 hours later, Chastity is done with the fish, and now is also a much more agreeable time to start another guitar session, so let's get her changed, and then she can teleport off in front of the theater. With Patrick, it is now time for a small break in the skill learning action. He still has a garden to take care of, and that definitely has priority, so Patrick will now begin another round of harvesting. Meanwhile, Pauline finishes another painting, much less evil looking this time, and after selling this one, it's finally time for her to catch a break. She will have another shift in the evening, so it's time to get some rest now. And with Paul, we will also quickly switch things up. After failing to get a promotion yesterday, we will try again today, and so Paul can once again invite his boss over. Alright, and while we're waiting, let's have him write a bit more. Half an hour later, Crystal has arrived once more, so let's get Paul into something a bit more presentable, and then start the conversation right in the garden. And now, while the two of them are talking, let's make some changes in the garden. Because with Patrick now retired and no longer chasing any lifetime wishes, I think we can safely scale the whole gardening thing up a bit. So, to get started, 3 sprinklers right next to the road here. Of course, we want our crops to grow on fertile ground, so let's put some of that down. And then we of course also don't want anyone to steal our crops, so let's fence them in. And for aesthetic reasons, we can also extend the fence down to the parking lots, and naturally, what would a good fence be without a nice gate? So this is of course only the beginning. I didn't do much more in this episode, but feel free to let me know where we could go from here. Do you want to see, for example, a full enclosure of the property, or would you rather leave it a bit more open and only fence off specific areas? Now of course we will immediately put our new gardening area to good use, and we will have Patrick plant a nice long row of garlic. Garlic because it is by far the most profitable crop in the base game. Then back to Paul for a moment. Now we did get the option to ask for a raise, however we did not get the option to ask for a promotion. From that I assume that it won't show up no matter what we do, since normally the two of them always appear together, so let's simply ask for the raise. That was thankfully a success. And then we can once again part ways with Crystal. Seems like we will have to get the promotion the old-fashioned way. Back inside, Paul can now raise his fun bar a bit, while outside Patrick has also planted a few live plants and is now surrounding the sprinklers with lime trees. Both of those are once again very profitable crops, although still not as good as garlic. Well rested, but still very hungry, Pauline is now back on her feet, and so of course we will get things started with a nice meal for her. Outside, Patrick can quickly grab the mail, and once again we have to go into the family inventory to sell what we just received. Afterwards, it's time for him to finally max out that handiness skill of his, while Paul has maxed out his fun bar and can therefore now put the SimLife goggles back down. Instead, he will continue to write his masterpiece novel now. After her meal, no surprises with Pauline. With her, we will continue to paint. And then also a quick look at the crowd that Chastity has gathered. Seems like her guitar performance is well received. 3 hours have passed, but another painting is complete, and with Pauline's work shift starting soon, we will not start another one. Instead, we can just sell this one, have her take a shower, and then watch Pauline grab the sim life goggles in her new thief outfit. And here we are now, with a maxed out fun bar. It's time to leave for work, so let's teleport over to the warehouse and start what is hopefully going to be another successful shift. Speaking of success, that is what we achieved back home with Patrick. A few more hours with the skill book and Patrick has finally reached level 10 in the handiness skill. And not only does that max out the skill, but it also completes 2 wishes simultaneously for him. So, rewarded with 5,750 lifetime happiness points, Patrick can now head off to bed, and a good hour later his brother Paul can do the same. The masterpiece novel is not finished yet, and he still needs to complete 2 more after this, but once that last promotion comes in, Paul can finally retire, and then he will have a lot more time on his hands. Now with Chastity, please have a look at the top right corner of your screen. Yes, Chastity just made 10,000 simoleons in tips. However, she is also very close to falling asleep right here on the red carpet, and of course that is something we want to avoid, so let's send her back home where she can go to bed. Now one last thing here before we make the cut. As you can see, Pauline's work performance bar leaves a lot to be desired, and that is the result of a slightly annoying bug in the criminal career, as sometimes work performance in the criminal career will only start increasing after midnight. That means that 60% of Pauline's shift were pretty much wasted, and those 60% would have probably been enough to get us another promotion here. So Pauline leaves work still only a safecracker, so hopefully we will be able to get that promotion in the next episode. Now I did have a bit more time on my hands this weekend, so I decided to wrap this episode up with some building. To get started, the Central Park, which apparently still needs a picnic table and another outdoor grill. And that can easily be achieved by just moving the trash can over to the middle here, and then by duplicating what we already have in the 3 corners around it. And that's it, property upgraded to level 3. 1 down, 1 more to go, this time the second pool in town, and this one is actually closed right now because it still lacks a sink and a toilet. And this small, let's call it sun deck over here, works pretty well for that. We will remove the roof and the columns, and then create a nice 5x5 room here. Both inside and outside, this will get the same wooden texture as the foundation. And then with a switch to day mode, we of course also need to put in a door. We can then put the roof back on. And with everything set, let's get to work on the inside. 3 toilet stalls should be enough for those who visit this place, and accompanied by 2 high-end sinks, that should be sufficient. As always, to drive the lot value up, we will equip the sinks with some expensive mirrors. And last but not least, some lights to illuminate the place. And if we go back to live mode, the property has now been opened to the public. However, we still need to increase the lot value by about 8,000 simoleons, so let's get back to work. First of all, a bit of railing for safety, and then our trademark fountains to drive the lot value up further. That won't be enough, however, so how about we buy something that we haven't bought in this entire series, I believe? Let's put a kicker table down. And all of that is enough to upgrade the property to level 2. 1 more level to go, and this one is rather ambitious. The pool ladder and the lounge chairs are easily acquired, however we also drive the lot value up by a further 24,000 simoleons. So let's get started with an additional lounge chair over here. And afterwards we can remove this ugly metal fence. We can then fill in the remaining grass patches with floor tiles here. And also remove those small boundaries around the palm trees. And I also got rid of the bushes to avoid clipping errors. Up next, it's time to put down the most expensive fence in the game. For 124 simoleons per tile, we will now enclose this area. Instead of gates, we will simply leave some holes in the fence, simply because there are no gates in the game that really fit this style of fencing. With all the fences in place, we can reapply the boundaries around the palm trees, but we still need to spend a bit more money. And for that reason, let's now put down the true highlight of this area, and that will go inside of the pool. And yes, this might be extremely overkill, but we are going to spend 10,000 simoleons on a statue here. And this will definitely put the lot value up to where it needs to be. One last thing, we still need 2 additional lounge chairs, so let's put those down here, and then we can go back to live mode and see the property has been upgraded to level 3. And with that, I think we have done enough upgrading for today's episode, and so let's make the cut here. I can say thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!